Hello again, fellow Vault Dwellers. Graham here to reveal 2 cards from one of the Fallout Universes Beyond pre-constructed commander decks, in this case, the Mutant Menace, a deck which itself contains 41 new cards, such as the Wise Mothman, the deck's default commander, and the Mothman and these cards, and many cards in this deck specifically, deal with rad counters, a new counter type that sits on a player. Before I tell you about the new cards, let me tell you briefly what a rad counter does. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, if you have any rad counters on you, you mill that many cards. And then, for every non-land card you mill, you lose 1 life and lose 1 rad counter. So unlike poison counters where you reach a threshold and simply lose, rad counters just make you weaker and hurt over a longer period of time. And this deck is all about getting rad counters on not just your opponents, but you as well. Let's take a look at our first card, Mariposa Military Base. It's a land, and you may have it enter tapped. If you do, you get 2 rad counters. Why would you want 2 rad counters on you? Well, maybe there's some graveyard synergy in the deck, perhaps, but also the card has more text. It taps for colorless. That wasn't the exciting part, don't worry. For 5 and tap, draw a card. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each rad counter you have. So the more irradiated you are, the more Mariposa Military Base can help, I suppose. How are you going to get more rad counters on you? Well, I have a vexingly good suggestion. Yes, it's the Vexing Rad Gull. 1 in a blue for a 1/2 with flying. It's strictly better Stormcrow. Bear with me. It is a bird mutant that says, whenever Vexing Radgull deals combat damage to a player, that player gets 2 rad counters if they don't have any. Otherwise, proliferate. Fighting one is a terrible experience. That's true of normal seagulls. Imagine if it's also irradiated. That sounds miserable. The rest of this deck is being previewed elsewhere later today, and tune in on this channel very soon for an episode of our Commander gameplay series Elder Dragon Social Club, where we face off all 4 of the Fallout decks against one another, and we've already recorded it. It's a sweet game. You'll want to tune in for it. We will be sending that out there as soon as we can. Until then, thanks so much for listening. I have been Graham. This is LRRMTG. Talk to you next time.